Hi, it's Susan Blackwell from The Spark File, your one-stop shop for creativity where our doors are open and we have got some amazing things coming up, like the free Creative Catalyst workshop on January 16th. As we head deeper into 2025, you may find yourself worried, anxious, and uncertain about what's happening in our world, but you are a creative catalyst, and you can use your creativity and imagination to take action and fight for the powers of good. On January 16th, in just 2 hours, live on Zoom, we'll teach you a powerful framework to identify what you're most passionate about and to discover how you want to apply your creativity to bring about positive change. You'll hear about normal people who have created the change they want to see in their world, and you'll leave with an action plan, a sense of possibility, and a metric ton of sparks of inspiration. The Creative Catalyst Workshop is designed to support you on your way to making positive change in your world. And it's all free, but you must register at thesparkfile.com. Plus, we're excited to announce that the doors are open for the Sparkfile Blaze, our 6-month course in creativity. With Blaze, you finally have a space where your creativity, your vision, your self-expression comes first, where you can make a creative promise to yourself and keep it with the support of world-class coaches, energizing curriculum, and a kick-ass community. Here's what our clients have to say about it.
The most honest, safe, life-affirming, and life-changing experience I've had in all my 55 years. The best.
I'm incredibly grateful to Laura and Susan for teaching me the tools and structures that I need to get past the fear and to just do it anyway.
The Spark File is a portal to your creative powers and believing in yourself.
This big, beautiful, creative trampoline that just catches you gently and just launches you out with so much love.
If you're ready to consistently commit to your creativity, go to thesparkfile.com and check out Blaze. It all starts with a fun, no obligation discovery call where we'll discuss your creative dreams. But don't delay. The doors are closing soon and there is a fantastic bonus waiting for those who take early action. Go to thesparkfile.com to learn more.
The Sparkfile podcast may contain profanity and other adult content.
Please use your discretion.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Welcome to the Spark File, where we believe that everyone is creative, but smart creative people don't go it alone.
I'm Laura Camion.
And I'm Susan Blackwell, and we are creativity coaches who help people clarify and accomplish their creative goals.
You should know that just by listening to this podcast, you are joining a warm and wonderful clan of creatives.
But you may also be asking yourself, what exactly is a Spark File?
A Spark File is a place where you consistently collect all of your inspirations and fascinations. Every episode, we're going to reach into our Spark Files and exchange some sparks. And from time to time, we're going to talk to some folks who spark us too.
And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take some of those sparks of inspiration and make something of your own. So without further ado, let's open up
The
Spark File. Laura Camion.
Susie B. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. I just burped into the mic, but that's not what I'm here to talk to you about.
Hey, listen, it's welcome anytime. I'm going to tell you, I have a bellyache. I got a bellyache, but you know what's going to make it better?
The spark?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Spark's good?
Dr. Spark's good in the house.
Oh, Laura, I'm sorry that you're not feeling well. It's
okay.
hard. We've been working today. This is near the end of our day. And you have had a little bit of a rumbly tummy. And whenever I'm like, do you want to push pause on this? You're like, let's keep going.
No, we can do this.
Look at
Which
her.
is not what I'm advocating. Honestly, this is the opposite of what I would be advocating. We need to take care of ourselves. And I will. After I get sparked by you and you get my imagination flowing Then I'm going to curl up in a ball.
Maybe this will make you feel better.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm here.
Sometimes when we record the podcast, it takes my mind off my troubles and it lifts me up.
That's what I am counting on. No pressure, but that's the bar for today, Susan.
You know, all those studies that we have heard about and we've discussed, even right here on this podcast, about how engagement, like this sort of engagement, is
Yeah.
one of the most important things that we need to continue to cultivate because
Mhm.
it's one of those most important predictors of our health, etc.
Yeah.
I think it really is on the day to day. It
Oh.
is the feeling that we get after we record the podcast, after we have a
When
class
we have a
in the Spark
class
File.
and we think we're so tired and we go in to the class with our full community and we leave so pumped
So
up, like with
pumped.
like triple the energy we had when we woke up that morning. It's
That's why we're gonna
crazy.
have to podcast till the day we die.
Okay. I'm into it. That's why I'm here. I've shown up ready to be sparked.
Well, I got a spark for you. And Laura, this spark today is a part 3. Or
What?
maybe our first part 3. I did parts 1 and parts 2 way back in, I'm gonna say 2020.
Oh my gosh.
But it feels like it's time and timely to
Okay.
revisit it.
Oh, I like time and timely. Mm-hmm.
So if you've listened to this podcast for a long time, all of this may ring a little bell. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. If you remember, or if you don't, I told you all a story about a guy I met way back in 2016, shortly after Donald Trump was elected president for the first time. I met a guy, I'm going to call the guy Dave. I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember this so clearly. I meet Dave. I say, "Hi, I'm Susan." And then he said, and I am quoting this to the best of my ability, I'm not sending this up. He said, "Hi, I'm Dave. It's nice to meet you." Oh, boy, can you believe this? Can you believe what's happening in the world? It's out of control. I mean, I can't believe this is real. I'm just freaking out. Can you believe that this is our world? And I said, "It's nice to meet you, Dave." Looking back, I think Dave's nervous system was jacked up because
Yeah.
of the election.
Safe to say.
And Dave had some idea, but really no idea what was coming down the pike.
No idea. I went on a little journey when you told that story, Susan, because I do not know the name of this comedian, but there's a comedian out there that does this whole bit about there are 4 words in the English language that can get you out of that can like engage you in any conversation that you like might get roped into when you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And he's like, someone comes up to you, "How about that game on Sunday?" Your 4 words are, "Can you believe it? Can you believe it?" And so anything how about that gossip about so-and-so and so-and-so? Oh, can you believe it?
That's hilarious.
All you have to do, say, "Can you believe it?"
Amazing.
So I went on
Yes.
that little journey, but that's not what Dave was talking about. Dave started with that, which is a totally different conversation.
And then if Dave starts with "Can you believe it?" do we just keep saying "Can you believe it?" to each other?
I
Like
know.
2 mirrors facing each other?
Yes, I know. Can you believe it?
So even though I had just met Dave, I've totally recognized that look in his eyes and I empathized.
Yeah.
I've seen that look in a lot of people's eyes, the look when someone is overwhelmed by the injustice in the world and maybe they're, again, fearing for their personal freedoms
The moral distress.
and the moral distress of it all. And that fear and overwhelm had Dave turned inside out. And even though I just met Dave, this is a true story. It's also a
Okay.
story about my lack of boundaries. Even though I had just met Dave, I reached over, I put my hand on his heart, and I said,
Oh.
"Dave, let me ask you a question. How many times have you initiated this conversation? I just met you. I don't
Oh.
know you, but if I may be so bold, I'd like to offer you something. You can always tell me to go fuck myself. Dave,
Always an option.
I think I know what's going on here." And then I said, this was bold of me, but I was like, "I think you might be addicted to this conversation. and this sort of swirl.
We're searching for answers. We're searching for
Yeah.
something that's
Yes,
going
the
to make them feel
search.
better.
But what happens is you talk until you're blue in the face, and you
Yep.
stew and you worry. But I swear there are other options. There is actually something that you can do, which is my spark today.
Oh, I'm so happy for this
Oh,
spark.
Laura Camion. This spark is my making change part 3 spark.
Part 3.
Part 3. How did the French say it? I wanted to do this episode because we find ourselves yet again at the beginning of a Trump presidency. And the next several years may be a lot of things. And I believe that we each have some critical choices to make. And one of those choices is how we are going to respond, not react, but respond to this.
I'm really happy for this, Susan, because as you know, I've been struggling with trying to find a balance between how do I make sure that my nervous system is not just off the charts and out of control for the next 4 years, and also how do I not completely disengage, because that's one way. One way to approach it is like I just refuse to pay any attention to it. And that for responsible citizens who want to be part of the positive energy in the world, that can't be the option.
We've discussed this privately offline, and this is just a mini side spark. I think one of the critical pieces of this is taking in news when you choose, on a cadence that you are choosing, not just sort of like the mindless scroll, the constant drip, and also what news sources you are taking in. And 2 things that I would offer people are Heather Cox Richardson and her Substack that arrives in your inbox daily, Tangle, which gives us a balanced view of the news from the right and the left. And that's
not sensationalized.
Not sensationalized. Though sometimes it will share, this is how the right and the left are sensationalizing this. So you do get a bit of that. And also PBS, man. You ever just dial into the PBS NewsHour? Because it is non-sensationalized. It is the facts.
How
and
it used
sometimes
to
the
be.
facts can be distressing, but it's not sensationalized.
It's how it used to be when news was a public service. And then that, changed in, I think, the 80s.
Yeah.
And we started to see it as entertainment, and that driving our blood pressure up is part of the strategy that is intended to keep us addicted to
the conversation,
That's
the shitty swirl. Yeah. So that was a little bonus side spark. Now back to the main spark.
Yeah.
To kick it all off, I thought it might be helpful to take a moment and reflect on the great work of Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor. Go with me on this, Laura Camion and
I'm
listeners. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor is a neuroanatomist and an author who wrote the book Whole Brain Living, which we've covered on the podcast. Dr. Bolte Taylor taught us that there are essentially 4 circuitries in the brain, and she summarized them in an article on her website, drjilltaylor.com. And you can learn all about these in her book, Whole Brain Living, as well. So in the most basic nutshell, character 1, this brain circuitry, this is the rational character in your brain, amazingly gifted at creating order in the external world. This part of your brain defines what is right or wrong, what is good or bad, based on its moral compass. It is a perfectionist that cares that the stapler goes back where it belongs and insists that you color within the lines. This is our type A, character 1. Character 2 circuitry tends to fear the unknown and perceives life through a lens of lack rather than through a filter of abundance. So there's a lot of fear, sadness, but character 2 really does protect us and keep us safe. So we want to treat our character 2 with the same respect that we would any of these. Okay. Character 3 is our emotional experiential self that seeks similarities rather than differences with other people because it wants to connect, explore, go on adventures with others, sharing time, having fun, or deeply connecting through empathy. Those are all character 3 traits. And character 4 is the part of the brain which exists as our most peaceful, open, and loving self. Character 4 is attuned with the gift of life, immense gratitude, acceptance, openness, and love. So when you meditate, pray, or repeat a mantra, you are quieting your left brain characters 1 and 2 so you can experience the deep inner peace of your character 4. Character 4 is always there and always available for you to access. So that's just like a quick little rundown, but whole brain living, well worth your time.
So good.
Such a good book.
So good.
So Jill Bolte Taylor also introduced us to the brain huddle exercise, which she encourages all of us to do several times a day. In essence, the brain huddle exercise asks us to slow down and assess which brain circuitry would be most useful in any given situation. To remind you all of the steps, it is lined up in the acronym BRAIN, BRAIN, and here's what it stands for. The B stands for breathe. Focus on your breath. This enables you to hit the pause button, interrupt your emotional reactivity, and bring your mind to the present moment with a focus on yourself. The R stands for recognize, as in recognize which of the 4 characters circuitry you are running in the present moment. The A stands for appreciate. Appreciate whichever character you find yourself exhibiting and the fact that you have all 4 characters available to you at any moment. The I stands for inquire. Inquire within and invite all 4 characters into the huddle so they can collectively and consciously strategize your next move. So that's also in I. You're also maybe saying, okay, character 2 has been really afraid, really anxious, really going up to people and saying, can you believe this? Can you believe the world we're living in? But inquiring which of those brain circuitries might best be used from moment to moment to moment. And the N stands for navigate. Navigate your new reality with all 4 characters bringing their best game and perhaps choosing a different brain circuitry to be dominant in any particular moment. So that is her brain huddle exercise.
So good.
I tell you all of this because as we enter into this new chapter in our world, you may, if you're anything like me, maybe I won't speak for Laura, but maybe like Laura, maybe you may feel yourself pulled into your character too, your fear, your anger, your feeling of difference, separateness, us versus them, anxiety. And I want me and Laura and you and all of us to have the tools to consciously choose what part of our brain circuitry we want to utilize and therefore strengthen. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want the next 4 years to only strengthen my character too.
Oh gosh, no.
But if I'm not conscious about it, I could see myself definitely. I see it in myself already. I see it in myself already, Laura.
Well, it's intentionally done, Susan. It's by design. It's not accidental. Both the news organizations that want to get our clicks and want to get us to tune in, but also the politicians. The politicians that are like, I make myself relevant by threatening and, being a blowhard and people wondering, will they do it? Will they not? What will happen? And it is like taken the entertainment factor way too far.
Yeah. So we're fighting against a current here.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it. We're going to do it consciously. In addition to consciously choosing what part of my brain circuitry I want to utilize, I invite you all to consciously choose how you want to focus your creative energy in the coming seasons because it really, really can make a difference.
Huge.
In this podcast, I have shared a formula for making change, aka creating a difference. And I would like to share it again. For those of you who might have missed this story the last time I told it, or the first time I told it, or if you just need a refresher.
So good.
So let's check back in with our friend Dave, remember him from 2 minutes ago, the one who was freaking out, the one who I thought might be addicted to the conversation about how scary the world was.
Mm-hmm.
The same Dave whose character 2 brain circuitry seemed to be running the show. Let's pick
Yeah.
up there.
Okay.
So I said, now I just met you, Dave, and I don't know you, but if I may be so bold, I'd like to offer you something. Can always tell me to go fuck myself. But I think I know what's going on here. But Dave didn't tell me to fuck off. In fact, his eyes lit up and he wanted to know what I was
What's the
proposing
secret?
that might disrupt
Yes.
this swirl.
He's a man in need. He wants an answer. He needs some help. Yeah.
So I shared with him a little formula that my meditation teacher, Emily Fletcher, take a shot. Hi, Emily Fletcher. Emily Fletcher shared this with me on November 9th, 2016. Classic. When I was freaking the fuck out, like our good friend Dave. And it's a 4-step formula, and it goes like this. Step 1, pick a pressing issue, a need in the world. Pick something that really sparks you. Clean drinking water, animal rescue, elementary education, trans rights.
Roe v. Wade.
Roe v. Wade. If you are in a safe place where you can do so right now, shut your eyes for a second. For real, right now. If you are not driving or walking, take a moment to identify one of the most pressing needs in the world for you. And it can be big or small, and it doesn't have to impress your neighbor. I know there's a lot. Just pick one. Got it? At the count of 3, open your eyes and say it out loud. Even if you're listening to this walking down the street, say it out loud. 1, 2, 3, go. Beautiful. Did you say it? Did you fake me out? That's okay.
Psych.
Now, psych. Now, step 2. This is important. This is critical. You have to absolve yourself of the responsibility for the millions of other issues on the planet. Sure, like Laura Camion, be informed. But if you aren't going to do anything about a particular issue, don't get trapped thinking you have to have a solution or a reaction to every single crisis. It will only spin your wheels and drain your energy and wear you out.
It will actually keep you from being able to make an impact in any other area.
Yeah. It just will drain your battery.
That's right.
Like freaked out Dave. Remember
right.
him from 3 minutes ago? Step 3, ask yourself, what are my unique gifts and talents? What are my superpowers? And I bet you've got a lot of them. But consider, are you a great woodworker? Are you a gifted speaker, an illustrator, an organizer, a healer, a musician? Are you stylish as fuck? Are you fantastic with kids or animals or the elderly? Can you speak French or sign ASL? Again, no wrong answers. I know you got a lot of gifts. Just pick one you're really feeling. And at the count of 3, say it out loud, no matter where you are. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. Did you say it? Did you just think it?
We know a lot
It's
of
okay.
talented people. Wow.
We do. All right, let's review. Step 1, pick a pressing issue. Step 2, absolve yourself of saving the world. Step 3, define your gifts, your talents, your superpowers. Step 4, ask yourself, which one of these gifts do I want to use right now? Now let's put it all together. So right now, are you a super stylish person who wants to use your superpowers to make the world a better place? Then maybe you could do like my friend Nicole does. She is the most stylish person I know. She has a great eye, and she uses her superpowers to volunteer at a place called Clothes That Work. Their mission to clothe, educate, and empower individuals to prepare them for employment success.
I love that.
Nicole, did I mention, great eye. Nicole's able to meet a person, understand where they're at style-wise, and then provide them with a polished work and or interview wardrobe so they can go out and shine and succeed. She loves doing it. And she loves going through racks and racks and racks of clothing and finding pieces that she's like, this is quality, this has promise. She's doing it. She's using these superpowers that she has, doing work she loves, making positive change right in her own hometown. And she's just using her creativity to do it.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
That is the way in which you can affect change.
That's right. That is right. Or Samantha Gibson, who wrote to me on Facebook and said, though I don't really consider my work to be creative in a traditional sense, I do have to think creatively in how I interpret medical terms into visual ASL, and also how to best communicate the needs of deaf patients, thereby providing equal access to communication, which is sadly often overlooked by medical professionals. I like to think by advocating for my patients and being sympathetic and empathetic to their situations, their life in that moment is a bit easier. And I wrote to Sam and I said what I'm telling you all now. At the Spark File, we define creativity as applied imagination that fights for the powers of good. So, Sam, you are
Check.
nailing it.
You are totally nailing it.
This is extraordinary. It's so creative, and it is making people's lives better. It is
That's
changing
exactly
their
right.
worlds.
That is exactly right.
Yeah. Or on Facebook, Kathy Boggs wrote, my passion is helping defenseless cats and kittens with medical help and spay-neuter services. I seek out and assist owners who do not have the means for medical care for their animals. This makes me want to cry. And help those who find these helpless, sick animals that suffer through no fault of their own. I believe this makes the world a better place and helps those who love their animals and don't know where to go. Kathy has got, I know Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy has got superpowers when it comes to caring.
Oh.
And she's flowing that care towards these cats and towards their owners or people who just find stray cats.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, let me help. Let me jump in. Let me make sure
Wow.
they have the medical service they need, that people are able to afford it, that all of this.
Yes.
Yeah, love it.
Yes. This is how I think, this is how we make a difference. And it is sometimes by, you know, that spark we talked about a few weeks ago, join the joiners. And that is like
Yes.
communities, those communities of people that come together locally and usually around a local thing. You can affect change by simply deciding, I'm going to be on that team that gets rid of the potholes on this street.
That's
this
right.
4-block radius. That's what I can affect. Or I'm going to be on the team that makes sure like the lampposts are all working and our streets are not dark at night. That like you can, that's where we can all make change and how it all like ladders up to big change over time.
I may have talked about this on the podcast. Don't know, don't remember, but just here's a refresher if I did. My friend Mike had a back injury and was completely down for the count, bedridden for quite some time. And Mike is a doer. He's very active, very vibrant, very alive. And he was flat, laid flat. Yeah.
Yikes.
You know.
Been there. That is hard.
But like for weeks.
Oof.
Guess what he did with his time? He got on his little computer, which he could still do, and applied for a grant to have trees planted all throughout his neighborhood.
Come on.
So they planted hundreds of trees that are now over the years growing and growing.
That's God's work right there, literally.
It is.
Planting trees.
Yes. I know you love a tree, Laura.
I do love a tree. And I love a person who plants a tree because they are most often not the people who are going to get to enjoy the full beauty of that tree. So it is such a selfless act. It is an act of, I care about the people in the future so much. I don't even know them, but I care about them so much. I'm going to plant this tree that's going to make a difference to them.
This reminds me of something that you told me, Laura Camion, which was something you heard at a talk that Susan Laurie Parks gave about the impact or the correlation between trees planted in an area and young women in that area going to college. Did I make that up?
No, you didn't make it up at all. She was a fountain of knowledge in terms of community building and ways in which you support a community and how like resources like places that have, we talked about this, places that have a community center, less people die in natural disasters when they have a community center.
Yeah.
And more young women go to college in places where they live in like tree-lined streets. Trees are present in the community.
So because my friend Mike was bedridden and
That's
was looking
right.
for something to do, and he planted all those trees, it could potentially make a difference.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say, without a fucking doubt, it's going to make a difference in the
Making
in the lives of
change.
people.
Ah.
Yes, and that's exactly it right there. What
Mm.
can I do? I'm bedridden. What can I do? I can apply for a grant and have some trees planted. That's incredible.
Isn't that
I'm really
crazy?
inspired by that.
Yeah, I'm like, you are unstoppable, Mike. Maggie Keenan Bolger wrote, "These days, I have to remind myself that living my life each day as a disabled person is an act of revolution. And
Yeah.
while I'm not able to do the same sort of concrete acts of change that I was able to do when my body was more able, being present, being vocal, and trying to find ways to exist in a world that would rather disabled folks disappear into the background makes way not only for other disabled people to thrive, but offers alternatives for how we can all live our lives in a work-oriented capitalist society."
Yes.
I loved that.
Yes.
I love that. Like your superpower, one of your superpowers is living, Maggie, but also Maggie has a real voice,
Yeah.
and that you could use a voice to share a cause that is important and
If
personal.
you decided, like, if you, number one, picked that thing that was important to you and then decided one thing you were going to do is amplify the message
Yes.
and increase awareness around
Yes.
something that people need to be more aware of.
Yeah.
That's doing something with intention and, again, biting off something that you can actually chew.
Yeah, yeah. This one, I love this one. Heidi Jones wrote, "I teach in a school where the kids may come from great poverty. One of the things in our school that we do is finding moments of joy. This month, being that it is Christmas, this was from December, I head the hunt for presents for each of the 500 kids at the school. Some kids, it is their only gift for the season. Today was the day. Santa came to every class. Every student got a present with their name on it from him. It is magical. The excitement is palpable. The joy is immense. Some kids didn't unwrap theirs because they want something to open on Christmas.
Oh, bless them.
And some kids cried from being overwhelmed.
Oh,
But every one of the kids felt love today." Talk about making a change. And I feel like the superpowers that Heidi Jones is talking about is the ability to identify and seek and create moments of joy and taking action to let those kids know that they are loved. I think that's creative as hell.
absolutely.
And I'm sure there are times, I mean, let's be honest, like I'm sure there are times when Heidi Jones is like, oh God, like the night before when Heidi's trying to work with a team of elves to get all those presents wrapped. I'm sure there are times when it is tiring or overwhelming, but I hope that the joy that those children experience creates fuel for Heidi
Oh,
and her fellow teachers to keep going.
Absolutely.
The thing that all of these folks have in common, all of these people have picked a thing that they're passionate about. They've used their superpowers to actually take action and make change. And here is one of the magical, tricky parts. Like I told Dave when we were talking, there is no one busier or lazier than me. But if you want to change the way you feel right now, if you want to make a change, you have to do something. You have to pick a thing.
That's right.
And you actually have to do it.
You have to do it. And Susan, that step, I don't know if it was 2 or 3, but you have to absolve yourself of all the other things that you are not doing because we
Yes.
cannot do it all. And getting stuck in that trap of
Yeah.
guilt actually makes you ineffective across the board.
Absolutely. Hey, if this is interesting to you, but you're like, I'm just listening to this podcast and I'll get back to it. I'll get back to it. If you would like to have some dedicated time to apply this process, we are hosting a workshop on Zoom on Thursday, January 16th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The workshop is free, but you must register. So go to thesparkfile.com, and click on the link for the Making Change workshop. Go there now. Do it. Don't wait. Don't forget. Sign up. Lickety splickety. Join
Susan,
us.
I love how you work that in there.
Come on.
Here's the very first thing you can do. Join us at this workshop.
Yes.
And consider, how are you going to use your creativity this year to make change and make a difference?
Well, I think sometimes, I don't know if you're anything like me, podcast listener, when I love podcasts, and when I'm listening to them and they're like, you can do that, like, here's step 1, 2, 3. I'm like, that's awesome.
What
And I
was it?
save it for later.
Yes,
And I
exactly.
maybe don't find my way back to it. But we are providing you with an opportunity where we are going to take the time and guide you through a series of exercises so that you can identify your superpowers and what is important to you, and then articulate how you want to focus your energies to make a change in your neighborhood, your community, your work, or in the world. Again, go to thesparkfile.com and sign up. The next 4 years are going to be Mr. Toad's wild ride. So let us get conscious about the change we want to see in the world and the change we want to be in the world. And that is my spark for you.
Oh, I love it. I love it, Suze. I just also want to say one thing I love about it is this makes it all measurable too. Because, when we're
Yes.
just living in this sort of swirl of there's so many problems and so much to do, it's hard to know if we made any difference at all. But if I decided this year my mission is going to be to fight against banning books, there are ways to measure the difference that I made, from January 2025
Yes.
to 2026. And that's very satisfying.
Yeah. And if I decide that my mission is going to be to decide to fight for banning books,
well, then we've got an interesting
we've
year ahead.
We've got a real horse race going.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
wow. Wouldn't
I didn't
that
expect that
be
twist.
something?
Oh, no.
Can you believe it?
The Spark File got canceled that day. And on that day, Laura Camion.
Suze, I love this spark. It really helps me. I'm so glad that for anyone who's heard it before, like me, I'm so happy that you reminded me, because it's exactly what I need when I am swimming in that despair of what am I going to do and how am I going to make an impact. Now I know. Thank you.
I'll see you on January 16th.
Word.
All right, that's it. This episode of The Spark File was made on the lands of the Lenape and the Mohican people. And as always, we hope this put another bunch of sparks in your file. Listen to me. If there's a spark you'd like us to explore, or if you'd like to learn more about how to coach with us to accomplish your creative goals, you can email getcreative@thesparkfile.com or reach us through our website, thesparkfile.com.
We will even happily take your feedback if you have any. But the price of admission? First, you have to share a creative risk that you've taken recently.
You can follow us on social @The Spark File, and be sure to subscribe, rate, and 5-star review this podcast to talk about making a change. It really helps other listeners to find us. Also, if you like this podcast, we hope you'll share it with people that you love. And if you didn't like it, you can make a change to a different podcast.
Hey! And if something lights you up and gets your creative sparks flying, we're writing you a forever permission slip to make that thing, make that change that's been knocking at your door. It's your turn to take a spark and fan it into a flame.
You got to take it
and
make
it.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
We're excited to announce that the doors are open for the Spark File Blaze, our 6-month course in creativity. With Blaze, you finally have a space where your creativity, your vision, your self-expression comes first, where you can make a creative promise to yourself and keep it with the support of world-class coaches, energizing curriculum, and a kick-ass community. If you're ready to consistently commit to your creativity, go to thesparkfile.com and check out Blaze. It all starts with with a fun, no obligation discovery call where we'll discuss your creative dreams. But don't delay. The doors are closing soon, and there is a fantastic bonus waiting for those who take early action. Go to thesparkfile.com to learn more.